Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. Today we'll be looking at the new haunting movie, Hokum. Horror writer Oom Bowman goes to an Irish inn to scatter their ashes. While there, he discovers that the property is said to be haunted by a witch, as well as other supernatural things that seem to get closer and closer the longer he stays there. Damian McCarthy is a newer filmmaker who has only recently started popping up in people's radar as far as in the horror scene. The biggest movie he's probably done to date was the movie Oddity, which was a great movie in its own way, focusing a little more on the mystery suspense element, which has been a pattern throughout all three of his key movies that have come out. The first one being Caveat, the second one being Oddity, and this one, Hokum. I never got around to reviewing any of the previous movies, but what I can say about them is that they give a huge sense of gravity. With Irish folklore, you have to handle it in a way that doesn't feel too cheesy. Not to say that Irish folklore is cheesy, but it's more old-fashioned. Witches, woods, ghosts, other spirits, things that have kind of been in folklore in general for thousands of years. But with Irish folklore, it's a little more to do with the traditionalism of understanding that there are things beyond your understanding. So don't poke the hornet's nest, essentially. And almost every Irish horror / folktale deals with people doing just that. This movie, Hokum, is a perfect example of it. Dealing with a person who should have just left well enough alone, played by Adam Scott, fulfilling his family's request of scattering the ashes of his mother and father who passed away in an Irish countryside near a famous hotel. But curiosity, of course, gets the better of him. It's pretty basic mystery horror thriller. The setting of a hotel specifically is actually kind of a little bit of a fresh concept. Not too fresh, just fresh enough. I like that it's trying to be fancy in this hotel setting, but it's also really old and rickety. Kind of giving Twilight Zone Tower of Terror vibes, if you know, you know. I think because of that, it kind of does make me a little, not scared, but a little happy to watch the movie. A lot of the cast are relative unknowns to the American movie scene, but are somewhat familiar in the Irish scene of filmmaking. One of the big standouts, besides Adam Scott himself, with his somewhat known status, is Will O'Connell. I really loved his performance as both the bellhop and Jack the Jackass, this freaky childhood story movie character. He has this really creepiness about him, more on the bellhop side than when he's Jack. And I kind of like that about it. The movie plays a lot with shadows and atmosphere and building up anticipation. Oddity, he did it so well, making the audience question what exactly is up with this thing and what is happening exactly. We're given just enough to follow. This one, it's more expert mode. And I think because of that, a lot of people will not necessarily like it if you've never seen any of his previous works. But as a person who did see his previous works, I actually enjoyed it a lot. In fact, I think there was an Easter egg in Oddity that kind of set up this movie. So, fun little little nod to each other. I do think that Damian McCarthy has a lot of potential to be a really big name in the horror scope. But as of right now, I feel the biggest issue with his filmmaking is being too comfortable. He sticks too closely to Irish folklore, which is such a niche bubble that you kind of don't want him to be stuck inside of it. I wish he would explore a little more on expanding his resume, as it were. Maybe I'll be wrong and he might actually do that. But for what this movie is on its own, it is a good watch. It's a fun watch. It's got a decent mystery. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's an amazing movie. In fact, I would probably say Oddity or Caveat are better movies. But for what it was, I did have a decent time watching it. I give Hokum 3 out of 5. Have you seen Hokum? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to stab that subscribe button and slice that like button, and I'll see you next time.